Take me back when you were growing up in Harlem in the 80s. Because it seemed like what you guys really did was built, was built around that.
Yeah. I mean, the 80s was about, dudes being thorough, the music, the hip hop, the scene, a lifestyle, right? And it's funny because I'm wearing Pumas right now, so, something that we used to rock heavy back then. But back then, man, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of danger as well, especially being outside in the 80s. But it was a good time for music. It was a good time for everything. It was a lot of love. It seemed like a lot of people got away from things as the years went by, but it was a great time.
Like, I interviewed AZ Faisan.
Harlem was Harlem, man, It was fun. We grew up in the Sugar Hill section of Harlem where all the players and hustlers used to be at. So I grew up, around that. And I was working at the cleaners, so all those type of cats used to come in the cleaners. And I was young. And basically, growing up there, you saw, the streets.
Yeah.
To me, that's like the Mecca of where it all started from.
And you're younger than him, but
Yeah.
I mean, when crack really hit Harlem during that time, what was the effects that you saw?
The parents stealing, families being lost. Even with my family, right? I had, addicts, were in my family, and that's probably one of the reasons the path that I chose happened like that, right? It's just the things that you see and you gravitate towards. So you start seeing these young kids with a lot of money, and knowing that you're from a bad situation, it kind of opens your eyes on a way to do something when school you feel like isn't the best route.
No, absolutely. Like, at what point did you start getting mixed up in the street life?
Probably when I was about 13.
Okay, now at 13, what were you doing?
I was in the streets. That's where I got my name from, Biggs.
Yeah?
Yeah, so, I was hanging with older dudes, doing, things that younger guys, everybody I hung out with was 5 and 6 years older than me. So they used to say, I thought that I was too grown. I thought I was too big for my age. And then Biggs, they just kept that nickname, and it's been with me since then.
Absolutely. Now, how did you end up hooking up with Dame and then later on with Jay?
Dame I met when I was 14, and he was a part of a crew called The Best Out that my brother was a part of, and I actually became a part of afterwards. But I met Dame, and we used to throw parties all around Harlem. So Dame had kind of left Harlem for a second to get in the music game, and he started managing Future Sound and then Original Flavor. And when he got them signed to Clark Kent told him that he had a guy that he wanted him to meet because he was in the streets, and he thought that Dame would be the perfect person to manage him because he had a take no attitude. So introduced them. They were friends for about a year or so, or 2 years before I met him.
Okay, and when you first heard Jay's music, you didn't really like it?
Nah, I wasn't a fan.
Okay. Now, what was the song that you heard when you were like, wait a minute, I got to reconsider this stance?
The time when I thought that Jay was serious, it was a few songs though. It was 95 South, Gotta Reach the Top, some things that Clark did. But the time that I really said that this dude is the truth is when he battled DMX on pool tables in the Bronx.
Right, and Big L was taping that.
Big L was taping it, man. And then it's funny because Y was there, and he's like, nah, we don't want no footage. We don't want no footage. And so most of the footage was on Jay because we didn't care, if he was taped. But so the Rough Riders camp and the Harlem Nights, they didn't really want to be taped. So it was limited footage.
Right. Now, who really won that from your point of view?
It was really close. I'm gonna give it to Jay, but it's something that, it's been debated for years. Like I said, it's when I found out he was the truth and the true lyricist that he was. And my brother Bob, God bless him, he was there with him, and we kept looking at each other every time Jay say a hot line.
Right. Now, at what point did you go from hanging out with him to being like, I'm going to be a 1/3 partner of this business situation?
Dame had he brought an opportunity to The Best Out, and he was telling us how we could get into music, how we can do something and use the music as a platform to launch other businesses, and how we could kind of take over the world. And a lot of my friends was arguing with him at that point, and some of them was like, nah, I'll just be the boss and I'll pay y'all, when Dame was like, nah, we can do something equally together. So after that next day, me and my brother Bob called him, but I started hanging with Dame a little more. and me and him became closer than other guys in the Best Out. And I started getting a little peek and seeing what the music business was about. Started traveling with them to a couple shows, got on a Chitlin circuit, kind of like a road manager. It wasn't from, not to really make money though, and I'll bring that lifestyle. So I'll go buy out all the bars, all the Cristal. We park our cars, drive up there, and just enjoy what was going on. So that was my first peek into the business. And once a couple doors was closed and they couldn't get the, things signed, they came to me and asked me if I wanted to be a partner.
Okay. And you mentioned in an interview, I think with Genius, that you made them an offer that they couldn't refuse.
It was a great deal that everybody was going to be. It was mutually beneficial for both sides.
Okay, so you put up a bunch of money.
There's a lot of rumors on how it got started, but it was a great partnership.
Okay, and then at that point, you guys became 1/3 partners.
Yeah.
Okay, now we know what Jay's position is in the 1/3 partnership. Like, did you guys work out originally what Biggs was gonna do?
Well, we did everything collectively, but even though that Jay, he was the artist and Dame was the mouthpiece of the business, all the decisions was made by all three of us. So, down to videos, down to, what songs come out. We talked about sequencing albums, artist signings, everything like that we did together.
But what was your specific role? Because everyone had like specific roles. I mean, you guys collaborated on everything, but what was Big's specific job?
Well, probably a lot of the marketing. You know what I'm saying? I spent a lot of time in the studio. So, Dame would come to the studio after things were made. So me and my brother Hip Hop, creatively, I think I had probably more of a mark on a label.